My younger sister pretended to fall into the water to climb her way up to the prince, but ended up in the arms of the most notorious playboy in the capital, to avoid marrying the playboy. She falsely claimed that the person who fell into the water was me, after several years of marriage. I ed myself to planning and managing the playboy's household and securing his future. Yet all I received in return was his bitter hatred. If it weren't for you, I would have already been with Warner, living happily ever after. How could Warner be suffering in the Eastern Palace now? I laughed coldly and had him disgraced. To my surprise, when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the past. This time, I chose the crown prince. I had been reborn. I had been reborn to the day when my second cousin, Lin Ruowan, pretended to fall into the water. In my previous life, Lin Ruowan had bribed someone in the Eastern Palace to leak information, intentionally falling into the water when the crown prince appeared. She had planned everything perfectly. The crown prince had left the palace alone, without any guards, and was a gentlemanly figure. All she needed was or him to embrace her while she was wet, and she would have one foot in the East Palace. But unexpectedly, the one who saved her was not the crown prince. It was the most notorious playboy in the capital, the young prince. To avoid marrying this frequent customer of brothels, Lin Ruowan used her wet sleeves to cover her face and trembled as she claimed to be Lin Ruoi, the eldest daughter of the Lin family. That was me. Thus, I became the wife of the young prince. After much turmoil, Lin Ruowan finally became Lin Liangbi of the Eastern Palace. The young prince was the only son of the eldest princess and the emperor's nephew. He possessed the arrogance and tyranny of a royal heir, as well as the impulsive and violent temper of his father, a general. On the night of the wedding, he lifted the wedding veil and saw that the bride was not the Lin Ruowan he had fallen in love with at first sight. He immediately drew his whip and was about to strike. The maids and servants in the room screamed in terror, but I remained seated, my expression calm. The whip lashed past my side, and the young prince asked in confusion, "Aren't you afraid?" I smiled faintly. "You are my husband, and I am your wife. From now on, we share honor and disgrace as husband and wife. What have I to fear?" The young prince froze, as if deep in thought. After a moment, he calmed down and obediently drank the wedding cup with me, becoming true husband and wife. I knew how to read the situation, since I had married into the prince's mansion and become the prince's consort. I would strategize and build connections to pave the way for the young prince's future and for my own. Years later, the crown prince ascended the throne, and the young prince was granted the title of honored prince, a clear sign of the emperor's favor. But after he got drunk, he clutched my arm tightly, his eyes red with anger, as if he wanted to tear me apart. "If it weren't for you, I would have been with Warner long ago, and she wouldn't have suffered so much. You heartless, evil woman. I will kill you and make Warner the princess of the Roan clan." Hearing his words filled with hatred, I finally realized that he had never forgotten Lin Ruowan and had never shown me the slightest gratitude. He even intended to kill me to make way for Lin Ruowan, who had been banished from the palace. I laughed coldly, prying his hands off me, dismissing he maids and servants. And then, I used the hilt of his most cherished sword to stab him in the groin. With a piercing scream, the young prince was crippled, never to raise his head again, living out his days in despair. Even when Lin Ruowan died tragically in a Taoist temple, he showed no emotion, shedding only 2 tears in the dead of night. Later he too died. I shed 2 tears for him, then turned and smiled as I elevated my own children to high positions. But when I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the crossroads of fate, recalling the selfish, impulsive, foolish, and heartless young prince. In this life, I decided to live differently, to become the most noble woman, the crown princess, and the future empress, even though Lin Ruoan had a difficult life in the Eastern Palace in my previous life. And everyone said the crown prince had a beloved white moonlight. I decided to go. I only want power and influence, not love. The sun was shining brightly in the sky. After dressing and adorning myself, I carried a small bundle and left the Lin mansion alone. As I stepped over the threshold, I heard the whispers of the maidservants behind me. The eldest miss is so pitiful. She's the legitimate daughter of the eldest son. Yet she's bullied by the second daughter of the second son until she can't even lift her head. Looking so meek and pitiful, another maid spat at her. Look at you. A servant pitying your master. I pretended not to hear. Feigning weakness and self-doubt is merely the means by which I survive in this vast Lin mansion. My parents are deceased. The old matriarch favors others. The second branch's uncle and aunt are cunning and greedy. And my cousin Lin Ruoan is hypocritical and malicious. I am alone, guarding the vast estate of the first wife's family, without using some tricks. How could I have survived this long? But now, I must make a different choice. I put on a conical hat and walked slowly to the moon bridge near the Lin mansion. Street vendors hawked their wares, and passers-by hurried by. But I remained calm, because I knew that the crown prince, dressed in plain clothes, would soon pass by this spot. Lin Ruoan had bribed palace attendants to find out the time and route of the crown prince's solo outing. She had memorized the time but mistaken the location, colliding head-on with the spoiled young prince. Fortunately, having lived through a lifetime, I not only remembered correctly but also knew what the crown prince truly loved. Under the moonlit bridge, flower shadows danced in the breeze. I set up the chessboard. Black and white pieces intertwined, my delicate fingers gently moving the pieces. A gentle breeze blew, lifting the thin, soft veil beneath my conical hat, revealing a fleeting glimpse of my fair, luminous face. The footsteps behind me came to a halt. A smile played on my lips as I pretended to be troubled. Moving the pieces. After a long while, a warm male voice came from behind me. Moving the white piece like that can break the deadlock. Aha! ND with clearly defined joints appeared before my eyes. The fingers moving the white piece were adorned with a jade ring worth a fortune. The fish had taken the bait. I feigned surprise, letting out a soft gasp before quickly covering my mouth and rising to bow. Thank you, young master. Behind the thin veil was the prince's handsome and gentle face. He stood like a green bamboo, seeming to gaze at me as well, smiling gently and composedly. Your chess skills are excellent. In my previous life, as the princess of a county, I often attended family banquets in the palace and had the opportunity to meet the crown prince on several occasions. Later, I used the young prince of a county as a pawn to serve as the crown prince's advisor and helped him secure the throne. The crown prince was a graceful young nobleman. Toward me, he showed the respect and propriety due to his elder brother's wife, as well as the affection and concern of a family member. In summer, we enjoyed ice cream. In winter, we savored plum wine. There was also an indescribable closeness between us. Moreover, he was very cold toward Lin Ruoan. The young lady reminded me of an old acquaintance, and she was also skilled at chess. The crown prince suddenly spoke, as if probing something. He then invited me. Would you care to play a game of chess with me? I recalled the rumors about the crown prince's white moonlight and nodded gently. Please. Sir, that day, I played chess with the crown prince until the sun was about to set before we parted. Before leaving, the crown prince seemed hesitant. His eyes were deep, and he untied the jade pendant from his waist and handed it to me. Miss Lin, I lost. I offer this jade pendant to you. Please keep it safely. During the game, I inadvertently revealed my family background to him. He knew my identity. When I returned to the Lin mansion, my younger cousin Lin Ruowan had been waiting for me for a long time. She had changed into a different set of clothes. Her wet hair hanging down, still bearing traces of water stains. Where did you go? How dare you leave without my permission? Lin Ruowan glared at me with disgust, her voice betraying her panic. Seeing the conical hat in my hand, she sighed in relief, then fidgeted with her handkerchief in irritation. In a few days, the only son of the princess will come to propose marriage. Tell your grandmother that you will mar. Why him? Do you understand? She has always looked down on me, in front of others. She is the delicate and innocent second young miss of the Lin family, but in front of me, she bullies and insults me without restraint. Since she couldn't climb her way up to the crown prince, she's using me as a scapegoat. I stepped I'd to avoid her. You've always wanted to marry into a high-ranking family, haven't you? The prince's mansion isn't bad either. You can marry there yourself. Lin Ruowan froze for a moment before snapping out of it, furious, smashing several teacups. The next day, the prince's palace sent gifts to the Lin family. The gifts flowed in like a river, filling an entire courtyard. The second aunt was stunned, while Lin Ruowan covered her face and cried, her face beaming with joy. Mother, your daughter has finally made it. The crown prince loves me, and I must become his princess. Her voice was too loud. The head eunuch of the prince's palace was extremely embarrassed and cleared his throat. This is an ancient chess set specially bestowed by the crown prince for the eldest Miss Lin to admire and play with. The crown prince has instructed me to convey a message to the eldest miss. He wishes to continue playing chess with her in 3 days. The small courtyard fell silent for a moment. Lin Ruowan's lips, which had curled into a smile, froze on her face, and her expression of joy slowly cracked. She was speechless. Over the years, she had gone to great lengths to flatter and please the crown prince, even nearly falling into the NDS of a dissolute nobleman. Yet the crown prince remained indifferent toward her. Unbeknownst to her, the one she had looked down upon had secretly gained the crown prince's favor. Lin Ruowan truly shed tears this time. Mother, the young prince is the most notorious playboy in the entire capital. I don't want to marry him, I want to marry the crown prince. Lin Ruoyi has no shame. Stealing her sister's man. She wept uncontrollably, while her aunt gritted her teeth in anger. Wanner, don't panic. I'll lock that slut in the mansion. In 3 days, you will take her place to meet the crown prince. The maid I bribed secretly told me what she overheard. As if to flatter me, the maid whispered, Miss, you must be careful of the second wife's family harming you. I smiled and rewarded her with 2 taels of silver. Lin Ruowan's little tricks don't scare me at all. She isn't a very intelligent woman. If she were smart, she wouldn't have tried so hard to please the crown prince and failed. If she can't be the crown prince's wife, she can always be a concubine. If she were clever, she wouldn't have ended up being banished from the palace and forced to become a nun after going to great lengths to enter the Eastern Palace in her previous life. She is greedy, pretentious, and full of herself. In my previous life, the young prince married me and rose swiftly to become the prince's favorite. She was jealous and couldn't stand seeing me happy, so she tried to kill me multiple times. Later, she even tried to take my place. I rubbed my head, thinking casually about what kind of fate I should give her this time. My aunt and Lin Ruoan want to deal with me. Perfect. I also wanted her to fall from a great height and die as miserably as possible. That night, the old matriarch called me to join her for dinner. She had given birth to 2 sons, my father and my second uncle, the eldest and second branches of the Lin family. The few concubine-born aunts in the mansion had all been arranged by her to marry far away. Thus, the Lin mansion had become her Doma Inn, where she held absolute power. She disliked my mother because she only gave birth to me, and my father had sworn never to take a concubine. After my father's unexpected death, she blamed my mother for his death, subjecting her to endless abuse and humiliation until she eventually died of depression. As for me, she ignored me completely. She favored the sweet-talking Lin Ruoan, allowing me, the eldest daughter of the first branch, to be tormented by the second branch. After my parents died, the young me was mocked by my second aunt and slapped by Lin Ruoan, with a red face. I ran crying to the old matriarch. She blocked me at the door, her voice cold and harsh. Young lady, your parents are dead, and no one is to teach you manners. Your second aunt is merely teaching you proper conduct. Go back and behave yourself. Do not disturb this old woman's rest. Then she ordered someone to drive me out. From that day onward, I knew I had no one to rely on in the Lin household, relying on the kindness my father had cultivated before his death. I secretly left the mansion every day to study with a scholar and broaden my horizons. Later, I disguised myself as a man and followed the shopkeeper to learn how to manage a business and make connections. It was bitter and exhausting, but I endured it willingly. It was because of this that I was able to multiply the fortune my parents left me several times over, bribe the maids and servants, and in my previous life, lift that worthless young prince from the mud and make him into something. But Lin Ruoan fears hardship and is content with luxury, possessing only beauty and no substance. Cough. The old matriarch cleared her throat, and the second aunt immediately brought over a spittoon. Everyone put down their chopsticks and listened to the old matriarch's sticky coughing. Grandmother, I found some good loquats from the south for you. They'll soothe your throat and make you feel more comfortable. Lin Ruoan flattered her with a clever smile. The old matriarch smiled broadly. Waner, you are so filial, clever, and beautiful. Even the crown prince would be worthy of you. She then scolded me. Rui, you shouldn't keep this to yourself. You should teach your sister this skill. Lin Ruoan thought the same. She glared at me, with jealousy. Her eyes filled with hatred. The second aunt laughed. It's not too late to learn now. Big sister, are you willing to share? The three of them looked at me in unison, each with a different expression. I remained calm and smiled. I learned chess from Master Wang. Lin Ruoan didn't understand what I meant. Master Wang was the chess teacher in the mansion back then, but he had returned to his hometown to retire. I added, if my younger sister had persisted in learning back then instead of giving up halfway, why would I need to teach her now? Given her careless nature, I wouldn't have been able to teach her properly either. Lin Ruoan was so angry her face turned red, tears falling down her cheeks. Looking pitiful, the old matriarch was furious, grabbing her walking stick to hit me. I stood motionless and said calmly, if the crow and prince asks where the injuries on my body came from, I will say it was because I refused to take my sister's place and marry the young prince. So my grandmother beat me. Everyone's expressions changed again. The old matriarch's walking stick lost its strength and fell to the ground with a thud. I sneered inwardly and turned to leave. That night, my younger sister came to my courtyard, looking shy and hesitant. She held several boxes of rouge and perfume. Apologizing to me. Sister. I will make the young prince keep his mouth shut. Please don't tell anyone. We are both daughters of the Lin family. If my reputation is ruined, you won't be able to marry into the Eastern Palace either. These boxes are all the most famous Dai Chunlin perfume and rouge in the capital. And they are very effective. I use them myself. Please accept them with a smile. She pretended to be obedient, her reddened eyes looking pitiful. I nodded and accepted them. Under the flickering candlelight, I examined the perfume boxes carefully. The packaging seals were intact, but there was a tiny hole on the back of the powder. I called my personal maid. Go fetch Baihe from Lin Ruowan's courtyard. My aunt and Lin Ruowan both thought that since they hadn't seen me use the Dai Chunlin perfume powder before, they could use it to frame me. Unfortunately, my knowledge far surpasses theirs. I'm waiting to see them reap what they've sown. 3 YS passed in the blink of an eye, and it was time for the chess game with the crown prince. Before leaving, Lin Ruowan clung to me. She smiled and offered to help me get dressed and apply makeup. Sister, why don't you use the incense powder I gave you? The crown prince will surely like it. The unopened box of incense powder lay quietly in the corner of the dressing table. I shook my head. I've never used it. And I don't want to. Lin Ruowan leaned her face close to mine. Her fair, delicate features were evenly coated with fine powder, emitting a subtle fragrance. She blinked her eyes. Sister, I knew you've never used it. Look. I applied some today too. Isn't it beautiful? As soon as she finished speaking, she opened the box of perfume powder on her own and carefully applied it to me. The maidservant tried to stop her, but it was too late. I sat there calmly, quietly gazing at the smug smile on her lips in the bronze mirror. A faint odor drifted toward me. It was very faint and quickly dissipated. Half an hour later, I finally finished dressing and applying makeup. Lin Ruowan clung to me, insisting on going with me to see the crown prince. The old lady's servant, sent by the old matriarch, also half threatened, half coaxed me to take her along. Ms. S. It's just for the second young lady to make an appearance before His Highness. If you don't even consider this sisterly affection, your reputation will suffer. I asked meaningfully. Do you really want to go? Sister. Lin Ruowan nodded. So I nodded as well. The sun was shining brightly, and the weather was still pleasant. The crown prince sat calmly on a stone bench beside the moon bridge, though there were now many more guards around him. A noblewoman dressed like an Eastern Palace matron but with an elegant demeanor stood quietly behind him. She was the matron who had served me since childhood. The crown prince introduced her, but I recognized her. She was the empress's younger sister, the principal consort of Prince Qin, and of the highest nobility. I bowed to the crown prince. My Che. X slightly red. I greet your highness. Yesterday, this humble maiden did not know of your highness's noble status and failed to observe proper etiquette. Please forgive me. 5 parts shy, 5 parts dignified and polite. I played it perfectly. The princess consort of Qin's eyes lit up. Without the Konsha pet hat obstructing the view, the crown prince's fresh and handsome features were even more distinct. He smiled gently as usual, gently supporting me with one hand. About to speak, Lin Ruowan suddenly interjected. This humble maiden, Lin Ruowan, also greets your highness. May your highness Ave smooth sailing in all matters and enjoy health and happiness. Not only that, she pulled out a mandarin duck-shaped perfume pouch and presented it to the crown prince with both hands. This commoner has specially sewn this perfume pouch for your highness and humbly offers it as a gift. Lin Ruowan had never been this close to the crown prince before. Her expression was excited, her hands trembling, and her eyes raised slightly. Sending him a flirtatious glance, the mandarin duck-shaped perfume pouch symbolized a request for love. If this had happened in the common folk, it might have led to a beautiful love story. However, in the imperial family, choosing a bride placed the utmost importance on rules and propriety. The princess of Qin furrowed her brows, her gaze toward her filled with impatience and contempt. Lin Ruo, and had hoped for the crown prince's favor. But she had made a fool of herself without realizing it. And she was already out of the running. I pulled her hand back. My cousin is ignorant and behaves improperly. Please forgive her. Your Highness. Lin Ruowan nearly bit her tongue off. She Eve. And wanted to scold me. Lin Ruai, you haven't even become the crown prince's consort yet. And you dare to speak for his highness. I remained composed. Cousin. Watch your words. Lin Ruowan was nearly driven to madness. In contrast to her, I appeared even more dignified, graceful, and well-mannered. I knew that the Empress favored such women. In my previous life, the Empress had chosen a crown princess for the crown prince who was just like this. I also knew that the emperor did not want the crown prince to marry a princess from a prestigious family, lest she become as powerful as the empress. The princess of Qin cast an admiring glance at me. I am confident. The crown prince paid no attention to Lin Ruoan. His eyes were fixed only on me. Miss Lin. The chess game was interrupted halfway through the other day. Do you have time today to settle the outcome? I smiled faintly. Yes. In the corner of my eye, I saw Lin Ruoan clenching the mandarin duck-shaped perfume pouch in her hand with reluctance. When playing chess with the crown prince, Lin Ruoan suddenly became very quiet. She seemed to be expecting something. I ignored her and focused solely on the game. The crown prince's chess skills always felt familiar to me. A gentle breeze blew by the lake, carrying wisps of willow fluff that tickled the skin. A guard rubbed his nose, coughed a few times, and brushed away the fluff. Lin Ruoan coughed as well. She had covered her mouth with a handkerchief, coughing softly and carefully, then brushed the willow fluff off her skirt with a disdainful gesture. But soon, the coughing grew louder and louder. Unable to stop, her flushed cheeks were covered in large and small red rashes. It seemed to itch terribly, and she gasped for breath. Scrack. Hing frantically, tears welling up in the corners of her eyes, leaving pale marks on her skin. The princess of Qin frowned, her red lips parting slightly. The crown prince also coughed a few times. The red marks spread across his face, and rashes began to erupt. The princess consort of Qin could no longer sit still. She was shocked as she supported the crown prince's shoulders and examined his red, itchy face. She immediately called for the imperial physician and pointed at Lin Ruoan. This woman is problematic. Arrest her. The princess consort of Qin was in a panic. She sent people to the palace to relay the message while arranging for the crown prince to be taken to the nearest nobleman's residence. Coincidentally, it was the residence of the young prince. Everyone present was detained. However, I moved Fre. Ely, with maidservants bringing tea and snacks. Lin Ruoan, however, was tightly bound and thrown into a corner under strict guard. She had intended to use perfume powder to make me look foolish, causing me to lose the prince's favor and giving her an opportunity. Little did she know that it was she who had caused the trouble. On the lighter side, it was an accidental mistake, and punishment would suffice. On the graver side, it was an attempt to harm the heir to the throne, a capital offense punishable by extermination of the entire clan. Lin Ruoan was trembling uncontrollably. Our body itching unbearably, nearly fainting from the agony. Soon, the young prince returned to the mansion. The Princess of Qin was attending to the Crown Prince and had no time to see him. So he came to our room. At a glance, he spotted Lin Ruowan. Miss Lin. The young prince was speechless. Lin Ruowan, disregarding everything else, choked out a plea. Young prince, I'm in terrible pain. Please untie me so the court physician can examine me. The young prince was deeply moved and rushed over to untie the ropes. I stopped him. This is a serious matter involving the crown prince. It would be best if the young prince did not act rashly. I looked worried and spoke earnestly, but the young prince was unmoved. His face filled with anger as he swung the whip toward me. Mind your own business. The whip was fierce, cutting through the air with a whistling sound. Showing no mercy, I dodged to the side and caught a glimpse of Princess Qin rushing into the room with anger in her eyes. Stop. The young prince is really quite the sight. The Princess of Qin's voice was cold and furious. The young prince's arrogance vanished instantly. He shrugged his shoulders and smiled awkwardly as he bowed in greeting. Pay your respects to the princess. The Princess of Qin sneered again. This girl is the one I want to bind. Lin Digunying understands the gravity of the situation and is pleading with you earnestly. Yet you refuse to show gratitude. What? Do you have a secret affair with this girl? Upon hearing the words princess, Lin Ruowan was speechless. When the words of affair reached her ears, she felt even more humiliated and ashamed. Princess, I didn't. Do you know that the imperial physician has confirmed that sulfur powder was mixed into this girl's perfume? She intentionally poisoned your cousin, the crown prince. The side room fell into complete silence. I lowered my eyes and sat quietly below Princess Qin. The young prince stared blankly, glancing between Lin Ruowan and Princess Qin. Lin Ruowan was sobbing uncontrollably. Princess, I'm innocent. A flash of guilt crossed her face, quickly replaced by fear. She intended to harm me. That day, she spent a fortune to bribe the palace attendants in the Eastern Palace and found out that the crown prince was allergic to sulfur powder and must never come into contact with it. The palace at Dance had good intentions, but they didn't want Lin Ruowan to make a mistake and end up backfiring. But Lin Ruowan's eyes darted around, and she immediately thought of mixing the white sulfur powder into the perfume powder to frame me. If I caused the crown prince to have an allergic reaction, I would be considered incompatible with him and unable to enter the Eastern Palace. I might even be despised and punished by the crown prince. There would be no good place for me in the entire capital. But she didn't expect that I had already secretly switched the perfume powder and added something else. Now, it was she whose face was swollen and itchy, and she was the one suspected of attempting to harm the crown prince. The princess consort of Qin was furious, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She glared at Lin Ruowan with eyes that seemed to want to cut her into 1,000 pieces. The slut is still trying to defend herself. Lin Ruowan wept uncontrollably. Fortunately, the young prince, who was naive, believed her. Princess Lin Er is also a victim of her schemes. How could she be the real culprit? It must be this Lin Digunying who is framing her. Lin Ruowan, as if she had found a savior, hurriedly nodded. Yes. Yes. It was my sister who framed me. I used the Dai Chunlin perfume powder she gave me, and she must have mixed something into it. The two spoke with conviction. I remained calm and composed. Princess, I have never used Dai Chunlin perfume powder, nor have I ever bought it. You can see, heck at the shop. On the contrary, after meeting the crown prince that day, my younger sister gave me a box, and she applied it for me before I left today. The implied meaning in her words was clear. How could the empress, who had been immersed in the palace for decades, not understand? She looked at Lin Ruowan with disdain. Believing me a little more. Lin Ruowan trembled and cried out. Your Highness, Please forgive me. I made a mistake. The powder was bought by someone I sent. But I didn't know the crown prince was allergic to sulfur powder. This was an accident. I.W. would never dare to harm the crown prince. The empress waved her hand. A palace maid was brought forward. Lin Ruowan's eyes narrowed sharply. And she looked panicked. The second Miss Lin gave me 50 taels of silver to find out the crown prince's schedule and ask him what he likes and dislikes. She even asked me what the crown prince is allergic to and what he must avoid at all costs. The palace maid wept. Her cheeks swollen and bruised. The imprints of a handprint clearly visible. Soon after, the proprietor of Dai Chunlin's perfume shop was also brought forward. The proprietor knelt on the ground and spoke cautiously. The second young lady of the Lin family is a regular customer of our shop, often making purchases. The maid snapped. Besides the second young lady, does anyone else from the Lin family buy from you? The shopkeeper thought for a moment and shook his head. I once asked the second young lady's maid if the eldest young lady of the Lin family disliked our perfume powder. The second young lady's maid sneered. What does the eldest young lady know? She's uncultured and unworthy of using it. The maid's sharp and cruel voice was imitated perfectly. Lin Ruowan was speechless. She hadn't expected the Princess of Qin to investigate so quickly, from gathering information to purchasing the perfume powder. Even the shop where the white fur powder was sold had been tracked down. She was reaping what she had sown and had no words to defend herself. The second young lady of the Lin family was innocent and pure. Perhaps there was more to the story. The young prince was still stubbornly defending Lin Ruowan. The Princess of Qin only sneered. The eldest princess is wise and clever. How could she have such a foolish son? I know. On the day she fell into the water, you saved her. And that's why you fell in love with her. Isn't it? The young prince scratched his head, his face turning slightly red. Fool, don't you think about it. What day was it when she fell into the water? It was the day the crown prince left the palace alone. She wanted to climb her way up by associating with the crown prince. But you stumbled upon her. And now she must hate you so much. Yet you foolishly fell in love with her. The Princess of Qin spoke with a mocking tone. Her eyes filled with contempt. Her gaze swept over Lin Ruowan like a knife, cutting her to the bone. Leaving her trembling in fear, the young prince froze. Impossible. Humph. The princess laughed coldly. The young prince's face flushed with shame and anger. And he hurried away. Lin Ruowan cried even more pitifully, amidst the chaotic sobs. Footsteps grew closer. The crown prince awoke, struggling to support his body as he walked over, leaning against the door to catch his breath. Under the physician's treatment, the swelling on his face had subsided, though his lips remained pale. Taking the hand the queen consort hurriedly extended to him, he looked at me, gave me a faint smile, and sent me a reassuring glance. Aunt, we must not tarnish Lin Deguniang's reputation. Her voice was clear and firm. The Princess of Qin understood, meeting the crown prince's gentle gaze. I understood as well. He wanted to marry me, so he couldn't let my sisters be accused of plotting against the crown prince. This matter must be suppressed. The Princess of Qin pondered. I will go to the palace immediately to discuss this with the empress. The crown prince nodded. Thank you, Auntie. Lin Ruowan collapsed completely to the ground. If this matter is reported to the empress, she will certainly be furious. Death may be spared, but punishment will follow. Not only will she never marry the crown prince, but she will also be unable to marry into any of the prominent noble families in the capital. Her eyelids fluttered, and Lin Ruowan fainted. Before leaving, the princess consort of Qin ordered that Lin Ruowan be slapped 20 times and sent back to the Lin mansion to reflect on her actions. Thus, The unconscious Lin Ruoan was splashed awake with a basin of cold water. Then dragged up and beaten with slaps, already in agony. Her limp body could offer no resistance, and her feeble struggles and cries were drowned out by the loud slaps. As for me, I was specifically ordered to stay behind by the crown prince. In the secluded courtyard, all the maids and eunuchs had been dismissed. The crown prince leaned against the chair and poured me a cup of tea with his own hands. I took the tea, following the contours of his slender fingers with my gaze, until it met his lingering eyes. My heart felt like it had been stabbed. It was as if I had seen such a gaze long ago. When exactly had I seen it before? The crown prince asked. Did I scare you? I snapped back to reality and shook my head with a faint smile. I was only worried about you. Worried about losing my position as the crown prince's consort. The crown prince's pale lips curved slightly, and he smiled, his eyes crinkling. Thank you for your concern. I feel much better now. I will request the emperor's permission to marry you. Miss Lin. Are you willing? His lingering gaze fixed deeply on me. A surge of heat rose within me. In the heat, there was the joy of being admired and cherished by the crown prince. The crown prince was handsome and gentle, of noble birth. Being loved by him was undoubtedly a delightful thing. But more than that, here was the exhilaration of power and status within reach. I nodded happily. The crown prince was still weak. So after a few games of chess, he ordered someone to escort me away. When I returned to the Lin mansion, the entire estate was in an uproar. An old servant whispered to me that an hour earlier, Lin Ruoan had been brought back to the mansion covered in injuries. Second aunt was crying so loudly it shook the heavens. And the old matriarch was furious enough to eat someone. They were waiting for me to return to give me a severe scolding. My second aunt cried. Eldest miss, I know you hate me. Hate the entire Lin family. But Wanner is so innocent. How could you harm her? Please, mother-in-law, speak for Wanner. The old matriarch screamed, spitting venom. Lin Ruai, get down on your knees. Wanner is your sister, and you dared to frame her. The Lin family has no place for a woman like you. Both of them thought I was still the timid, easily bullied eldest daughter of the main branch, waiting to beg for mercy on my knees. But to their surprise, I burst into laughter. Grandmother, did the people sent by the princess consort not tell you why Lin Ruoan was beaten? The old matriarch choked, then slammed the teacup onto the table in front of me. You framed Wanner, and you dare to defend yourself. The shattered pieces scattered, sending dust flying everywhere. I casually shifted my body, feigning innocence with a smile. Grandmother, how do you intend to punish me? Will you expel me from the Lin family? Beat me? Lock me in the ancestral hall? Or starve me for 10 days or half a month to teach me a lesson? When I was young, this was the old lady's usual method, threatening to expel me from the Lin family, leaving me to become a beggar, trampled by others, lock me in the ancestral hall, giving me only a bowl of water each day. I was starved until I was dizzy and weeping, forced to scrape incense, eat ash to survive. In my days, I murmured my parents' names. It seemed as though a voice responded to me. With great effort, I opened my eyes and heard Lin Ruoan's contemptuous voice, calling for your parents. Your parents are long dead. You fool. Starve to death quickly, and you'll be able to join them later. I stopped being afraid. The ancestors of the Lin family can see clearly who the real evildoer is. Being expelled from the Lin family suits me just fine. I will ask the crown prince to find me a good family to marry into. So I can marry into the Eastern Palace and walk all over you with pride. Beating me or starving me would be even better. I will tell the Crown Prince how my grandmother, my aunt, and my cousin treated me. I wonder how the Crown Prince will treat you." The room fell into complete silence. My aunt covered her mouth, her face filled with panic. The old matriarch was even more agitated, pointing at me with a trembling finger. "Rebel, rebel, granddaughter." Before she could finish, saliva trickled down the corners of her mouth. Her eyes were bloodshot, her cheeks puffed out, and she trembled uncontrollably. She had been so enraged that she had suffered a stroke. Her once pampered body collapsed suddenly. Like a withered tree, the maid screamed and rushed over, frantically calling for a doctor. As for me, I turned and left, without a second glance. That night, Lin Ruowan woke up. The old matriarch, however, was completely unconscious, lying in bed like a vegetable, needing assistance with every basic need. Lin Ruowan knew something was terribly wrong. She wrote a letter in the middle of the night and sent it by express messenger to her second uncle, who was serving as an official in another region. I intercepted the letter, opened it, read it casually, and smiled. I sent it back to her exactly as it was. The maid curiously asked, "Miss, why didn't you stop the letter?" I tapped the maid's forehead with a bright smile. Let her have her dreams. After all, the days ahead will be nothing but nightmares. The letter was sent. Lin Ruowan eagerly awaited her father, my second uncle, to return to the capital and take her side. But the nightmares came faster than she had imagined. The day after the Princess of Qin entered the palace, the Empress issued an edict stating that Lin Ruowan had behaved improperly in the prison of the Emperor, and ordered her to receive 20 lashes daily. The executioner in the palace was so strong she could pull a cart. The 20 lashes were delivered with full force, nearly tearing her carefully nurtured delicate face to shreds. After the beating, Lin Ruowan had to kneel at tea in trance of the Lin mansion for 6 hours to reflect on her mistakes. To spare me from embarrassment, the Empress specifically praised me for my grace and intelligence, calling me a model of nobility in the capital. Thus, the only one being mocked was Lin Ruowan. Lin Ruowan was on the brink of madness. Her eyes were vacant. Blood trickled from the corners of her lips, and she knelt stiffly at the entrance of the Lin mansion. Her knees, nearly raw from kneeling, throbbed with excruciating pain. The physical torment was not the worst of it. Those despised by the Empress were pled upon by all. The noble young men and women of the capital deliberately detoured to the Lin mansion to gawk at the spectacle. Her scandalous affairs were the talk of the capital. The noble women mocked her for her lack of self-restraint, for failing to seduce the Crown Prince, and for being despised by both the Crown Prince and the Empress. Ending up in such a pitiful state, the young nobles indulged in lewd fantasies, imagining Lin Ruowan's private moments. She had always pretended to be pure and virtuous, but in private, she had dared to wet herself to get close to the Crown Prince. One could only imagine the taste of the young prince's embrace. Some mischievous individuals even teased him in front of the young prince. The young prince's face turned as dark as charcoal, as if he had been cuckolded. He shattered the table with a whip and stormed off in anger. Lin Ruowan endured the humiliation, waiting for her uncle to return and seek justice for her. Her uncle returned, however. The news of her engagement to the Crown Prince was also delivered to the Lin mansion on the same day. Several large boxes of luxurious and precious gifts were transported into the Lin mansion one after another. A eunuch, annoyed that Lin Ruowan was in the way, kicked her in the chest. Lin Ruowan collapsed to the ground, her body convulsing. and she suddenly coughed up blood. No one paid her any attention. Not even her beloved father, who ignored her completely. My second uncle smiled obsequiously. My niece is fortunate to have the emperor and empress's favor. This is indeed a blessing for the Lin family. He then scolded. This worthless woman has angered the empress. I must punish her severely. He wanted to strangle Lin Ruoan with a white silk sash. This way, he could please me, please the empress, and distance himself from the matter. But her aunt refused. She wiped away tears. Master, my daughter has only committed a minor offense. She merely angered the empress. Why must she pay with her life? Her uncle was also unsure. He was cunning and self-serving. For the sake of his future, he would even use his wife, daughter, or even his own mother. At this moment, he feared that if he acted too hastily, the empress would think he was a heartless man who didn't care about his own daughter, which would ruin his future. He also feared that if the punishment was too lenient, it would anger the empress and me. He said, then send her to the monastery to become a nun. The second aunt still refused. Warner is only 16. With a face as beautiful as a flower and a bright future ahead of her. How can you be so heartless? Uncle Air was flustered and sneered coldly. Bright future. Warner has been taught by you to be so ignorant of the world. Now, if she can even keep her life, it's only because the empress has shown mercy. And it's also because I have shown mercy. At this point, you should be thinking about how to curry favor with the future princess. Tomorrow, I'll have her hair cut off and send her to become a nun. He spoke decisively, stood up impatiently, and was about to go find his soft-hearted concubine. Unexpectedly, second aunt rushed forward and fought with him, her sharp nails scratching his face. You're pretending to be a good person. You were also involved in killing my older brother and sister-in-law. You're crazy. The second uncle, enraged, pushed her hard. A piercing scream echoed, and the second aunt's head hit the stone. Her eyes rolled back, and she was dead. The Lin mansion was once again thrown into chaos. A doctor was summoned in the middle of the night and managed to revive the second aunt Fro. The brink of death. However, she remained unconscious. Foaming at the mouth and convulsing, the doctor sighed. The mistress of this household likely has no more than 3 months to live. Please make arrangements accordingly. Lin Ruoan was speechless once more. Her hair was disheveled, her cheeks flushed with anger and fear, and her knees ached terribly. She collapsed onto her aunt's body and wept. Mother, father. Her cries were heart-wrenching and despairing. Her unreliable father, her dying mother, and the old matriarch, who had suffered a STR. And was now comatose. Resembling a fool. If her aunt died, she would have to mourn for 3 years. Taking advantage of the darkness, she limped out of the mansion and rushed to the brothel district to find the young prince. I stood in the shadows, watching her walk to her doom. A veil sea over her disfigured face. Her eyes were swollen and red, filled with tears. Lin Ruoan leaned weakly against the young prince, her soft body brushing against his arm. Young prince, will you marry me? Even as a concubine? I just want to be with you. She played the role of the helpless and vulnerable, believing that the young prince still harbored feelings for her. The young prince was drunk, his already dim mind clouded further. Thinking he was still in the brothel, he instinctively said the delicate beauty in his arms. Lin Ruoan thought he had tacitly agreed. She rolled her eyes and said, as long as you find a way to ruin Lin Ruoi's reputation, make her unable to marry the crown prince, and preferably kill her, I will marry you. The gritting of her teeth was impossible to hide. The young prince only reached out to touch her body. A debauched young man passed by, teasingly approaching them. Young prince, why not find a room? Are you in such a hurry? Which brothel does this girl belong to? The debauched young man smiled. Intending to lift her veil, Lin Ruoan screamed and hurriedly pushed the young prince away, running off. After the debauched young man helped the young prince leave, I quietly returned to the mansion. The secret guard sent by the crown prince to protect me stood by my side. He had heard the entire exchange and asked respectfully, Miss Lin, should I report this matter to the crown prince? I shook my head and smiled faintly. This was a minor matter. There was no need to trouble the crown prince. I could handle it myself. Even driven to the brink of despair, Lin Ruoan remained a pathetic clown. Her methods were so foolish they were laughable. I thought it was time to make her suffer a little more. Before dawn, Lin Ruoan was dragged out of bed. The old nurse was about to slap her again, but today, amidst her pain, there was a hint of hope. She was waiting for the young prince to find a way to ruin my reputation. But what she didn't know was that after the young prince sobered up, he recalled those words and was so frightened he broke out in a cold sweat. He was reckless, hot-tempered, and not very smart. But he wasn't a fool. He immediately told the princess everything that had happened. The princess also broke out in a cold sweat upon hearing this and immediately went to the palace to tell the empress everything. The princess deeply hated Lin Ruoan for treating her son like a fool. She should be executed. She grit her teeth in anger. The empress remained silent for a moment before summoning me into the palace, facing the most noble woman in the capital. I bowed my head respectfully and said, My cousin has committed a grave error. Whatever punishment the empress deems fit is what she deserves. However, I humbly begged the empress to grant her a chance to reform and spare her life. The eldest princess smiled. A daughter-in-law chosen by the empress is not only beautiful but also virtuous and kind-hearted. Congratulations to the empress. The empress also smiled slightly. A compassionate and merciful princess consort is a blessing for the royal family, not a curse. I grant your request. The crown prince escorted me out of the palace. He did not ask about Lin Ruoan, so I told him voluntarily, Your Highness, I did it on purpose. Death is too quick. I want Lin Ruoan to suffer while she's alive. I don't want to hide it from him. The marriage has been arranged. I want him to graduate. I understand and accept that I'm not just a woman who clings to a man. I'm intelligent and bold. I also hold grudges. Besides being his wife, I can also be his advisor. Compared to emotions, binding ourselves through interests can better secure my status. The crown prince gently stroked my cheek and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. He said, I understand everything, Rui. You have nothing to fear. I understand you. His sparkling eyes held a tenderness I had never seen before. I held his hand, my eyes stinging slightly. Your Highness. Thank you. The entire capita. I was abuzz with talk of Lin Ruoan's fate. She had been shaved and sent to the imperial temple to practice. In name only. It was akin to imprisonment. Forced to perform menial labor. Suffering unimaginable hardships. My second uncle, for failing to raise Lin Ruoan properly, was demoted 3 ranks and exiled to Minnan. He would likely spend the rest of his life among vermin. The crown prince once sought me out, expressing concern. The Lin family has fallen. Do not fear. I am your greatest support. I thanked him. In truth, I have never been afraid. Deep down, I have never fully relied on the crown prince. Human hearts are fickle. Vows made today may be broken tomorrow. Sleeping in the same bed yet dreaming of different worlds is a common occurrence. Moreover, the crown prince has a beloved concubine. I believe in the crown prince's current affection. But I believe in myself even more. The only one who can be your own support is yourself. The old lady's illness has grown increasingly severe. All the maids in the mansion know that I was neglected by the old lady since childhood and have little emotional connection with her. Thus, they gradually began to slack off in their duties. One day, as I passed by the old lady's courtyard, I saw the maids shelling sunflower seeds and playing cards. The old lady was lying there, her mouth open, crying out for water. But no one paid her any attention. The teacup was just an arm's length away. But she couldn't reach it. She hadn't been turned over for a long time. And several large sores on her back were oozing pus, causing her intense pain and itching. Soon, she would die in agony. My second aunt is also near death. Her beloved daughter is suffering in the imperial temple. Her husband, accompanied by his weeping concubine, was exiled to Fujian. I kept her alive with ginseng soup. Every day, the maid asked, "Miss, how long must we keep feeding her this soup?" "Ugh," I replied casually, "until I marry into the Eastern Palace. Then she can die." On the day of the wedding, the sun shone brightly, and the weather was perfect. I dressed up beautifully and boarded the wedding palanquin, heading toward the Eastern Palace. Halfway there, the palanquin suddenly stopped, and a commotion erupted. "Princess consort, a nun is blocking the way and won't let the palanquin pass," the maidservant cried out. The nun related to me could only be Lin Ruoan. Her heart-wrenching cries could be heard faintly. "I am the crown princess. You've brought the wrong person. Hurry up. Get me dressed. I'm going to marry the crown prince. I'm going to be the crown princess." I didn't move. The crown prince rode over on his horse. After checking that I was unharmed, he scolded with a dark expression, "Drag her away." I had never seen him so angry before. The guards, drenched in sweat, tried to explain, "Your Highness, this woman is clinging to the horse's leg and refuses to let go." "Then step over her." The sound of hooves echoed again. Lin Ruoan's muffled groans of pain could be heard, dull yet melodious. A pool of blood spread out on the ground. The limp, lifeless form was carelessly tossed into the dust. Her robe was filthy and torn. She had once worn gold and silver. Looking down on me with contempt, mocking me as a cowardly fool, now she lay dead, silent and lifeless like a pile of mud. I idly played with the phoenix hairpin on my forehead. I had intended to spare her life and torture her slowly. But instead, she was trampled to death by moshing. Never mind. She as destined to die anyway. After the wedding, I lived in harmony with the crown prince. The crown prince was dignified and gentle, and the empress was graceful and wise, making them easy to get along with. There was just one thing that puzzled me. There were no concubines in the Eastern Palace. Not even a single maid. When I paid my respects to the empress, I casually asked about the crown prince's true love. It's better to be prepared than to accidentally anger the crown prince. The empress covered her mouth and laughed. "Crown princess, you really don't know." I shook my head. "Mother, please don't tease me." "Then you should ask the crown prince yourself." The empress remained silent, laughing so hard she couldn't speak. After returning to the Eastern Palace, I pondered long and hard before finally asking the crown prince if he intended to take a concubine. If he had a woman he admired, he could simply tell me, and I would bring her into the palace early to spare my younger sister any hardship. The crown prince paused in flipping through his book. He raised his eyes and stared at me intently. "Crown princess, You are truly magnanimous and virtuous. It seemed as though I could smell the scent of jealousy. I was completely baffled. Late at night, the prince cast aside his usual dignity and restraint, taking me forcefully. Over and over again, sweat dripped down, and I gasped for Br. Eth. Seeing only a blur of white before my eyes. Afterward, I was utterly exhausted and fell asleep quickly. Just as I was about to drift into sleep, I felt a warm breath on my ear. It was the Crown Prince's hoarse voice. It's you, Lin Ruai. I've been thinking about you for 2 lifetimes. After my parents passed away, I changed my name and followed a scholar to study, also learning chess from him. When the young Crown Prince sneaked out of the palace to play, he once played chess with me. He asked me my name and where I lived. I told him my name was Lin Suehua and that I lived in the Lin Mansion, 20 miles east, 30 miles west, and 40 miles north of the town. The Crown Prince quietly went to look for me, but he found only a doghouse and stood there in a daze. The Crown Prince was strictly guarded, and by the time he next left the palace, I had stopped study, and was disguised as a man, working for a merchant, and so we missed each other. I understood why the Empress had been smiling all along, because I was smiling too. Tears streaming down my face. After the misunderstanding was resolved, we became truly devoted to each other, just as in our previous life. I advised him, helped him secure his position as Crown Prince, and cleared away all obstacles. After he ascended the throne, he named our child Crown Prince and shared the throne with me. In the harem, there was only me. When attending court, I sat beside him as equals. Court officials were speechless, cursing me for corrupting the court and pleading with the emperor to reconsider. Some even called me a demon queen. The emperor flew into a rage, ordering the court officials to be beaten with boards for 7 days and 7 nights, leaving their buttocks swollen and red. Finally, no one dared to speak another word. Moreover, my abilities gradually won the minister's respect. My prestige soared, and I took advantage of the situation to demote the young prince to a commoner on the pretext of his mistress's lowly origins. After all, I hold grudges. Days passed peacefully, and we lived in harmony and happiness. Leaning against the emperor's shoulder, I smiled and asked, if that day I hadn't waited for you under the moon bridge, what would you have done? I would have come to find you. The emperor kissed my forehead. I would have told you that I wanted to marry you as my crown princess and grant you the highest honor. He understood my ambitions and was willing to fulfill them. A gentle breeze blew, and cherry blossoms fell. I thought, T.S. was a truly wonderful life.